There is someone in your life right now. You already know who it is. The moment I said that, a face appeared in your mind. Maybe it's someone at work who drains every room they walk into. Maybe it's a family member who twists every conversation into conflict. Maybe it's a friend who takes everything and gives nothing back. Maybe it's someone even closer than that. And here is what nobody tells you about that person. You will never change them. Not with patience. Not with kindness. Not with distance. Not with confrontation. Not with logic or love or the perfect thing you keep rehearsing to say to them one day. They will remain exactly who they are. And the moment you truly accept that, not just intellectually but in your body, in your gut, everything changes. Not because they changed. Because you finally stopped waiting for them to. Marcus Aurelius dealt with toxic people every single day of his life. Corrupt senators. Jealous advisors. Backstabbing generals. People who smiled to his face and worked against him in the shadows. And he didn't just survive them. He mastered them. Not by fighting. Not by running. By understanding something about human nature that most people spend their entire lives missing. That is what we are getting into today. Stay with me. This one is for the person who is tired of being drained. Before we go further, I want you to do something. Think about the last time that person got to you. Not the dramatic moment. The small one. The comment that seemed harmless but sat with you for 3 days. The silence that felt louder than anything they could have said. The moment you replayed in your head long after it was over, wondering what you did wrong, what you could have said differently, why it still hurts. That moment right there, that is what this video is actually about. Not them. And the internal war that toxic people start inside you without ever having to fire a single visible shot. The Stoics had a name for this. They called it giving power to what does not deserve it. And today we are going to take that power back. The first thing Marcus Aurelius teaches us is this. Understand the nature of the thing you are dealing with before you react to it. Toxic people are not villains in a film. They are not sitting in dark corners designing your destruction. Most of them are deeply wounded people operating from fear, insecurity, and pain they have never learned to process. They project. They manipulate. They drain. Not always consciously. Not always deliberately. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly." Now read that again. He didn't write that to make you bitter. He wrote it to make you prepared. Because the moment someone's toxic behavior surprises you, they already have the advantage. But when you expect it, when you understand that this is simply who they are and how they operate, their behavior loses its power to destabilize you. You stop taking it personally. And that shift alone changes everything. Because here is the truth about toxic people that the Stoics understood deeply: their behavior is never really about you. It is a projection of their own internal chaos. Their jealousy is about their own inadequacy. Their cruelty is about their own pain. Their need to control is about their own fear of being powerless. When you see it that way, you stop being a victim of it. You become an observer of it. And observers don't get wounded the same way participants do. Think about the toxic person in your life right now. What are they actually afraid of? Underneath the behavior, underneath the manipulation, the criticism, the control, what wound is driving it? You don't have to answer out loud. But sitting with that question even for 30 seconds begins to change how much power they hold over you. Now here's where it gets practical. The Stoic way of dealing with toxic people is built on 3 precise principles. Not theories. Not abstract philosophy. I mean actual tools you can use today. Principle 1. Guard your inner citadel. Epictetus said it plainly, no one can hurt you without your permission. Your inner world, your thoughts, your values, your peace is yours. It belongs to you completely. Nobody can enter it without an invitation. The toxic person in your life cannot touch your inner citadel unless you open the gate. In practice, this means you stop giving them access to your emotional core. You remain polite. You remain functional. But you become internally unreachable. They can have your time when necessary. They cannot have your peace. Ever. This is not coldness. This is self-preservation. And the Stoics considered it a form of wisdom. Principle 2. Respond, never react. Toxic people feed on reaction. The argument they started. The tears they caused. The anger they triggered. Your emotional reaction is their reward. It confirms their power. It validates their behavior. And it pulls you further into their world. Marcus Aurelius practiced something he called the pause, a deliberate space between stimulus and response, between what someone does to you and what you choose to do next. In that pause lives your freedom. When the toxic person says something designed to wound, pause. Breathe. Respond from your values, not from your wound. A calm, measured response from a grounded person is the one thing a toxic person cannot easily weaponize. They came for a reaction. When you give them composure instead, they have nothing to work with. Principle 3. Limit access without explanation. You are not required to explain your boundaries to people who will use the explanation against you. Toxic people are skilled at taking your reasoning and twisting it. The moment you explain why you are distancing yourself, they have material to argue with, manipulate, guilt trip. So don't give it to them. The Stoics were masters of quiet action. They didn't announce their decisions. They simply made them. You don't need to make a speech about why you are pulling back. You simply pull back. Quietly. Consistently. Without drama and without apology. Distance is not cruelty. It is wisdom. And sometimes it is the most loving thing you can do, for yourself and even for them. Pause for a moment and be honest with yourself. Have you been reacting when you should have been responding? Have you been explaining yourself to someone who was never going to hear you? Have you been leaving the gate of your inner citadel wide open, wondering why you feel so drained? This is not about blame. This is about awareness. Because the moment you see the pattern clearly, the moment you recognize exactly where your energy has been going, you stop being a participant in their chaos. And you start becoming someone they simply cannot reach. Here is the part most videos on this topic never reach. The Stoic way of dealing with toxic people is not ultimately about them at all. It is about who you become in the process of dealing with them. Because every toxic person in your life is an invitation, not a pleasant one, not one you asked for, but an invitation nonetheless. An invitation to practice patience you wouldn't otherwise develop, to build boundaries you wouldn't otherwise need, to discover a depth of inner steadiness that comfortable relationships never require. Marcus Aurelius faced people who tried to undermine him, betray him, use him, every single day of his reign. And instead of becoming bitter, he became better. More precise about what he could control. More compassionate about what drove human behavior. More grounded in the values that no external person could ever take from him. He wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." The toxic person standing in your way is not a detour from your growth. They are the terrain your growth is happening on. That doesn't mean you stay. That doesn't mean you endure. That means wherever you are in the relationship, leaving it or long past it, you choose to come out of it with more self-knowledge, more inner strength, more clarity about who you are and what you will no longer accept. Most people spend years waiting for toxic people to change. Waiting for the apology that never comes. Waiting for the moment they finally feel understood by someone who was never going to understand them. And in all that waiting, they hand over the one thing no toxic person deserves: their peace. The Stoics made a different choice. Not louder. Not angrier. Just quieter and far more powerful. They decided that their inner world was sacred and that no person, regardless of how close, how loud, or how persistent, was ever going to be allowed to disturb it. That decision is available to you right now. Not tomorrow. Not after the next conversation. Right now. Guard your inner citadel. Respond, never react. Limit access without explanation. You cannot always choose who enters your life. But you can decide from this moment forward exactly how much of yourself you give them. That is not coldness. That is not cruelty. That is the Stoic way. The moment you stop feeding toxicity, you begin to reclaim your peace. If this landed, share it with someone who needs it right now. And if you want more wisdom that protects your peace, subscribe. You already know why you're here.